Welcome to another exciting episode of Peak Pursuits, the podcast where we explore the cutting edge advancements shaping our world today. I am your host, Sandhya Lakhanpal, and in this episode, we are diving into the thrilling terrain of AI driven video production. Joining us is Jeremy Toeman, the visionary founder and CEO of AugXLabs, a pioneering company at the forefront of this revolution. Jeremy is on a mission to democratize video editing through the power of AI. AugXLabs is set to empower creators worldwide, ushering in a new era of storytelling possibilities. Together, we'll unravel the mysteries and marvels of how artificial intelligence is reshaping the landscape of video creation. So, buckle up as we embark on this exhilarating journey into the future of media on Peak Pursuits. Welcome, Jeremy, to my show. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me this afternoon. I appreciate you talking about Augie and your vision for video production in future.
Thanks. I'm really excited to be here. It's been fun getting to know you a bit online and really look forward to our conversation today.
Awesome. Okay, so let's get rocking and rolling with what inspired you to start Augie and what problem were you aiming to solve when you got into the video industry?
Well, it's a funny question given that we're talking in a podcast because the truth is it was for my podcast. So back in the middle of the pandemic, I don't know if you remember, but you either had to start a podcast, learn how to bake bread, or learn another language. That was like the requirements of the pandemic, as far as I could tell. So a buddy of mine, in fact, JT, my co-founder now, we were doing a podcast really just for fun about movies. Just both of us love movies. And we did it and our friends were listening and it was great. But, like anybody, we always wanted to, maybe expand a bit and get a bigger audience. And all of the time we kept reading these tips, like just make a video preview, put that up on YouTube, TikTok, the Insta, etc., and that'll help you grow. I was like, okay, great. I have access to all these media tech. Let's do that. So I went and started learning one of the top tier video editing suites that is super powerful. And after about 40 hours of taking online tutorials, I was unable to make much progress. And I started wondering, why is it so hard for sort of a regular person like myself to be able to just make a simple video? I'm not here trying to make like a Christopher Nolan movie. I just want to make like a little promo. And as I looked around, I came to realize that basically you're either stuck at one end of the spectrum with tools like iMovie and Windows Movie Maker, which are great for personal narratives and getting like my little story if I want to just do a trailer for the kids or something like that. Or go all the way up to Avid, Final Cut Pro, Premiere Pro, etc. But candidly, learning to use those tools is almost like me learning to fly a helicopter to go to the corner store just to get milk, right? And I started wondering, why is this so hard? And as we started looking around, it turned out we weren't alone. Over 70% of US businesses make no videos for themselves, right? And this isn't, by the way, that's businesses that actually could use video, not like a factory or a corner store, but businesses where the presence would matter. And so we set out to build what we now call Augie, basically a prosumer tool designed to enable anyone to be their own visual storyteller. And so that's been just over 2 years since the day we got started. And sure enough, not only my co-founder for my podcast, but my other co-founder I worked with at Warner Media. So it's sort of this nice little family of folks I've been spending a lot of time with over the years.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that story. And I think I can attest to the fact that when we are talking about some of those pro video creation tools, they are extreme, the learning curve is extremely high with those tools. And for people, well, I can attest to a 10-year-old using it, right? With my daughter using it, this particular tool, Augie, that you've built is super user friendly. So it really puts the video creation in the common man's hand, right? And we don't have to pay exorbitant amount of money to these professionals to do this work for us. So that leads me to the next question is, can you provide an overview of Augie's technology and how does it differ from the traditional video creation methods?
Sure, that's a great question. This is really, I think, where we look to make a product that's a little special and where we focus. Our vision is really about solving the blank canvas problem, right? When we think about it, I used to talk about this more at length, but humans have been telling stories effectively for about 60,000 years now, around the campfire, in the caves, whatever. And now we do much more sophisticated technologies to do that with. But we aren't actually visual storytellers. We don't think in terms of showing a video. In fact, the last time people really use like that analogy would be show and tell for kids, right? And we thought about that a lot is like, how do you get away from, or how do you help someone who has no idea where to start, right? And where's that, where do you not have a blank canvas? So what our product does is we basically have the backbone of your video is actually your audio. And the way we do that is our tool can either write a script for you using ChatGPT style technology, or you can paste in your own script. If you have either, we then have partnered with AugXLabs so that we have AI voices. So it'll turn your script into now a narration. Or you can record it yourself, or you can upload a video. Let's say we can upload this video or any talking head style video or anything you might like. Whichever way the user gets started, we then take the narrated words, we build a transcript from them using AI. We then understand the cadence of the speaker's voice because everybody talks a little different. And we use our own AI and logic to build basically an initial storyboard for that video. And then the final step that Augie takes is it listens to the specific words used in every segment of that storyboard, passes that against a natural language search against a Getty clip library. We're partners with Getty Images that gets us access to literally millions of clips. It also is capable of looking through your own clip library. So let's say you've recorded content maybe on a phone or on any other device, and that's in the mix as well. And so the idea is, so if you're talking about the last time I visited New York City, then we look for something that matches New York City. And if you have something in your clips, we'd use that. And if we don't, we go find you something from the stock content. Now, the matches sometimes are spot on and sometimes not so much. But the key thing that we've learned through this from our users is by giving you a starting point, you're so much further ahead than even having the most powerful tool in the world and not knowing what to do with it.
Right, right. So true. So that brings to mind that usually the unique selling point for human created content is the quality and the creativity element, right? So the question, that's where the skepticism of using a human to create those videos versus an AI generated tool, right? So I guess for those skeptics and who are sitting in my audience, what would you say that you've done on your end to ensure the creativity and the quality element and bring that into the tool?
It's a great question. And by the way, I think we agree with that, is that with all the amazingness that the LLM style technologies are giving us, it's basically a rush to the middle, right? Where everything starts looking the same. So what we do different is, our premise is not that every video must be, quote, generated, right? I think there's really big difference between generated videos such as Sora, Runway, Pika Labs, and others, versus let's say an AI assembled video, right? In our version, the actual best content to use is your own, right? The best content we would have is you walking down the street of New York City, not just random New York City. And so we think of it sort of in a user hierarchy of the best choice we can make is your own, the next best choice would be stock, and then the final choice would be generating from scratch. And so because we take that approach, we don't want every video to look the same. We don't want every story of someone walking around New York to have the exact same clip of the exact same person. So we really encourage our users to have some amount of their own content. I think where we try to take it that extra step further is when you don't have it, by having it in the mix, we've given you something to work with. We even have users who are telling us that once they see what the Augie stock suggestions might be, is they then use that to go make a clip. So if someone was making a video about home cooking products, right? And then we've tons and tons of clips around home chefs and whatnot, but then they can go out to their own kitchen, chop up some onions or something, and then insert that clip instead. So, I think the key thing for us is on the assemblage of the video as opposed to the generation of it.
And also the key point that you brought up was the ability to customize if they are not happy with what is generated, right? So let's talk about the types of industries or use cases that would leverage Augie's technology. How do you see what types of people and industries can leverage this technology from your point of view?
Absolutely. Look, I'll be aspirational for a moment. I'm a founder, it's my job.
Right.
We really are here to create this mid-level tool, this prosumer, solve that gap between, things I can use to tell my personal story and things, as you said before, I might have to go spend a lot of money on hiring a team to do. So from that sort of utopian vision, I hope we build something that everybody could use, from a teacher to a student to a marketer to a CEO. Our strategy and our targeting will be in the business side and around marketers in particular. What we've learned through our almost a year of testing now is people in the creative advertising space, people in the direct to consumer space, and people in the marketing space are all the ones suffering the most by not being able to create as much video as they need. So, as an example, we're working with several publishers where they have, hours and hours of inventory of video ads available, but most of their want to be advertisers don't have video to put there. So in a lot of cases, we're working with sort of that creative advertising team internal to an organization, because then they can go off and make all the ads that their customers might need. So that's one big use case right now. We see just a lot of people in that, creative briefs, creative advertising, small to mid-sized agency, the people who have to do a lot of what, rough cuts and prototyping a video really love Augie because we do that so quickly for them.
Right, right. So let's talk about job displacement, right? So that's the biggest fear that AI tools bring in today's landscape. What do you have to say to those traditional video creators and the jobs that will be displaced because of Augie?
We have been engaging with video editors from day one. I've had on my advisory board, I have former friends. I personally have been in the media tech industry for 30 years, so I've worked with many, many video folks over the years. And we involve them in a lot of our product decision making because our goal is not to supplant them. As I said before, if you think about where we want to fit in the overall food chain, we don't want to replace what you can do with Premiere Pro or Avid. They're amazing tools, and candidly, we'll never be able to just copy their features to the nth degree, right? That's not what we're here for. Also, if we tried to do that, we'd end up with a product as complicated as those ones are. So the way we're engaging with pro video creators is, hey, use Augie for your rough cuts, right? The rough cut is the first draft you might send to your client or whoever the stakeholder is, right? Because then instead of spending 3 hours of their time just getting that first vision together, they can send something off in 15 minutes, get that kind of approval of, yeah, that's the kind of video we want to make, and then go do their real magic. So the way we see it is we're going to empower hopefully millions of people to be their own kind of baseline creator. And then if our vision goes right, actually, we think we'll be sending even more work to the pros, because those same people, once they get, once their appetites wetted, is that the right phrase? Once they wet their appetites a bit, some of them are going to come back and be like, oh, I want more now. This video ad thing is working for me, but I need better ads. I need to up my brand, right? So our perspective is to get the user to, I'm going to use the term good enough, but I don't mean that as a pejorative, like, oh, it's just good enough. I mean that more like, is this video good enough to help you build your business on, say, TikTok or YouTube? If so, great. Use it. Now you're there. Is it a piece of art like a pro can do? Absolutely not. But there's plenty of places for that, right? If you think about so much of the social content, it's here today, gone this afternoon, right? And so in that kind of almost disposable content cycle, there's another area where we can really help out people. And that's not really displacing anything. Nobody's doing that right now, right? And so we're coming into that middle ground space.
Right. So let's talk about early adopters, right? What kind of feedback have you received from early adopters, and how has that influenced the evolution of Augie?
We love getting engaged with our users. We've had a Discord community since day one. We're pretty active on LinkedIn and other places as well. And they really help shape our product. Now, obviously, we have users from sort of every walk of life. We have requests for all sorts of features. It's been pretty compelling. We've been on this pretty constant mission to solve that business problem, though. To be really candid, while we have people using it for personal narratives, we have people using it for poetry videos, we have people using it for guided meditations and all sorts of cool things. We love that they're using for us. We'll always have a place for them, but our real focus again is that marketer, creative advertiser. So we've been interviewing and engaging with those parts of our community literally since day one. And so as they have particular feature needs, we've been weaving that into our roadmap. At the same time, we've had a pretty strong sense of our own North Star for quite some time now. There's certain things you just sort of have to do. For example, in Augie at the beginning, you couldn't even add text on screen, right? As much as our users were asking for us, we already knew we had to add text on screen. So there's a bunch of things we know are sort of at table stakes, and we just have those on our constant roadmap. But then as we're getting engagement from our users, so coming soon, for example, we're going to be allowing people to add a watermark to their video. It was the number one request from the business side, so it's coming in the next couple of weeks, right? So we try to have that nice combo of what do we want to do and what are people telling us what to do, and hopefully finding the places where those overlap the most.
Oh, nice, nice. You're kind of use crowdsourcing ideas and bringing them in. So let's talk about what do you envision for the future, right? As Augie evolves, what are some of the capabilities and potential applications that you see, or some of the surprises that you have uncovered in the user testing space?
I think it'll be no surprise some of the things I'll talk about. Obviously, we'll keep a couple of things to ourselves
Right.
for now, but doing a lot to help make sure we can let brand manager or marketing managers continue continuous brand consistency in their content. So, as an example, let's say you're using Augie to make an ad about your pro tennis shop, for example. You have your own content and you use some Getty. We don't do anything right now to make sure the Getty stuff lines up with your stuff. So if your clips were all, I don't know, maybe it's all children playing in like street, like some kind of street tennis, like an urban setting, but the clips Getty pulls might be from, Wimbledon or something like that. So right now we can't do much to normalize that. That'll be coming very soon. So you can set styles and tones and things like that so that you can have a consistent look and feel across your entire video. We're also working on some collaboration features so that, if you're, let's say you have a stakeholder, you're making, let's say you're the ad person, right? So you're making an ad for the business and your marketing manager wants to see it before it goes live and even give back comments and feedback. So some collaboration features will be coming soon. And a lot more stuff around manipulating your video with AI will be coming. So we have a feature live called Magic Search, Magic Finder, depending on who in the company asks. And what it lets you do is search up your own uploads through natural words. So there's a lot of tools out right now that'll let you take your 60-minute video and compress it down to 60 seconds or things like that. We're adding those kind of features as well as intelligent search. So if you, again, let's use that example, you're making a video about tennis and you say, when you rush out onto the court, let's say somewhere in your B-roll you have a clip of 20 children running out onto a tennis court or something. In our vision, that clip will be the one we automatically find and automatically insert. Today, that's still manual. Today, the user has to kind of carry that load, but that'll be coming again very shortly. And then finally, this will be no surprises, our commercial launch is coming soon as well. Right now, we're in beta, and while we do have some paid features, including our premium package, we're letting our users sort of just go nuts with the product. We literally have a couple of people who make, not even kidding, a couple of dozen videos a day using Augie. And so we have no rate limiting or other thresholds in right now. So those will be coming soon. Hopefully all our users feel that that's a fair value exchange for the service they get out of the product and the level of video that they receive.
Yeah. Um, so there's a lot of competitors in the market, right? So I guess the question that any skeptic would ask is why your product? Like, what are the pain points and challenges that Augie is solving that I can't get in another competitor?
Great question. I would say that solving again for that blank canvas is a huge part of what we do differently. When we look at a lot of the products out there, there's a lot of things that are, very template driven. So if you want to make all your videos have a very specific style template, that's not that we'll have templates coming soon, but I think there's other tools that do that better than we do. And that's not really been our focus. I think our focus has been a lot more around getting content that matches what you're trying to do so that you don't have to do the heavy lifting, right? When I look at a lot of products and they're like, we'll say make videos in seconds and do this in a moment and etc. But then I look at what I actually get, and then I look at the lift it's going to take me to get to what I'm actually trying to do. What we have learned, and this again, user feedback, because we care about so much, is our ability to get you to where you're trying to go tends to outpace a lot of the other tools because video editing is nonlinear thinking, and I don't want to get into all the psychology of it because we've obviously learned a lot about it, but
Right.
it's sort of not how our brains really work. We're just not built to operate that way, and so we've actually designed Augie to take a more sort of natural language approach. It's funny, we even though we don't actually have a chat style interface, one of the most common comparisons we get is sort of like if ChatGPT let me make video, right? Is what we keep hearing because we use your transcript. So you see your own words on screen, and that's how you edit. You don't need to drag and drop weird timelines and things like that. Also, because you start with kind of a baseline piece of content, you basically instantly move into the editing effect as opposed to the creating effect, right? And I think that cognitive load of, oh, I see a thing, I want to change that, is much, much lower than, well, what should I put next? Right. And I think that's
That
really done a
writer's
lot
block.
for us.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Videographer's blog in this block in this sense. Okay, so that brings me to my final question for today. What advice do you have for aspiring entrepreneurs looking to venture into AI, especially in the startup space?
Oh wow, that's a fun question. You know, I would say this. I think the AI space is not what a lot of people think it is. Um, Fundamentally, if there's a category and a market leader, it's pretty safe to assume that maybe it'll be that market leader, maybe it'll be someone else. But all those companies are adding AI. I can't imagine a tech company out there that doesn't have some kind of AI initiative at this point. So
Right.
if you want to build, a I don't know, restaurant food guide thing that lets you find the best restaurants nearby and et cetera. It's all AI powered. But really, what you did was basically redid Yelp, but with AI. I don't think you're going to beat Yelp with AI. And I would say that's sort of true for all things, right? Kayak already has AI stuff, plus they've got a ChatGPT plugin. So there's travel. And I don't think we're going to get AI dating and all of these sort of standard things. So my advice would be look for non-filled opportunities, right? It's I mean, when we started this company, it was before the, I don't know what we're calling it, the LLM revolution. We were focused specifically on, as I said at the very beginning, what is the product in between, let's say, iMovie and Premiere Pro? Nothing, right? So we're actually tackling an empty space. When some people ask, well, what about Premiere Pro? I'm like, well, it's still a phenomenal tool, but Premiere Pro plus AI is still fundamentally a pro level product that now has AI features to make their job easier. It doesn't make it easier necessarily for me. And that's not to say Adobe can't enter the space because obviously they have Firefly and other great tools as well. It's more of, as an entrepreneur, I'd encourage you to be thinking not about what if blank plus AI, but more of just what was blank. I'd almost argue that AI as its own thing is as a near commoditized industry already, right? So entrepreneurs, you got to go find some different hook.
Right.
Is probably how I'd be looking at it.
Yeah, yeah. To identify the gap and then go to fill that hole. Well, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you again for jumping on my podcast and speaking to the audience. Hopefully, I can have you back again for another topic. But thanks again for joining me today.
Thank you, and thank you for being such an Augie fan. We love getting your feedback, and we're really always excited when any of actually our users engage. So if you're out there listening and you start using Augie, reach out to us. We'd love to hear what you love about it and what you don't, because we're always trying to make it better.
Thank you for joining us today. Until next time, keep pursuing innovative strategies.